Hey guys, Sandy here, and I am back now with the other part of the cut file, and I'm going to do a layout with that as well. So let's see what I can do. Okay, really excited for this one. This one has a completely different look and feel than what I did with the negative space of the cut file. This is the outline, the actual cut file. So no negative space. This is what you get. Now, I love the airplanes. As you guys have already known, if you've watched my videos for any length of time, I do scrapbook a lot of airplanes. It's just something I enjoy. Now, these are the Honey Gal pictures. This is a one of the aircraft that are at the Atwater Museum. It is Castle Air Museum in Atwater, California. And I just felt like these colors were a better fit for the photos. If you haven't seen the previous video, I do have a lot of blue and purples in there, and it kind of clashed with the Honey Gal. So I'm flipping through this photo box. This is where I store my 6x6 paper pads. I also have a couple of adhesive pads in the back of that from the Silhouette when it was owned by Quick Cuts. So those papers are old back there. So I'm just flipping through trying to figure out what kind of colors I want to use, and I just picked out a selection of them. Now I'm going to show you how I back a cut file. I'm not going to make you watch me back the entire thing because it's just the same thing on repeat. So because this cut file isn't too delicate, meaning there's lots of teeny tiny little pieces that if it shifts it's going to be funky, I decide to just hold it down with my fingers, and then I trace along the inside of the airplane. So then I take this piece of paper, and first I'm going to trim it down, and then I'm going to cut around that line, but I'm going to leave space around the outside of it. Now, I'm not really moving my scissors hand a whole lot. Most of the time I am moving my left hand, which kind of controls the paper. So it's very similar to fussy cutting with leaving a halo around it. And you're doing that because if you cut right on the line, then basically you would be filling in the space of your cut file instead of backing it. And I don't want to fill it, I definitely want to back it. So I'm just testing it out for fit, and it fits pretty good. Now I am going to grab some of my Nuvo Deluxe adhesive. This is by far my favorite liquid adhesive ever. I've had this one bottle since March, and I'm really close to being to the end. So it's definitely time to get myself another bottle of this. And that's high praise for a liquid glue coming from me. So now that I've got it glued down, I'm just going to make sure that the plane sticks down. And we're going to turn it over in a second, and then you'll be able to see it all filled in. And the only thing I'm doing is just adjusting it ever so slightly to make sure that I have no gaps between the backing and the actual cut file. So there it is. Now I do add some washi tape on a couple areas on the back side of this cut file. And that's just where the glue really wasn't like in a solid line. It might have dotted a little bit there. So I'm just adding a little bit of extra adhesive just to hold it. And I'm going to continue to do this for every single airplane. So again, I'm just drawing the inside outline of the airplane, just using my fingers to hold it. Not really concerned because it isn't like this big detailed thing I'm cutting out. So there you go. I've got them all finished. Now instead of using this airplane and backing the cut file, what I'm going to do is fill this one with sequins, and then I'm going to back the entire sequined airplane to the cut file. So this is a jewel picker, and it is really handy for placing sequins. Now I have this sequin pack, and it came in a Love from Lizzie card kit, and the only thing I'm doing is pulling out kind of these whiter sequins. There are a couple different varieties of white and pearlescence here. So the only thing I'm doing is just putting my Nuvo Deluxe adhesive down, and then I am using my crystal picker to my crystal jewel picker to go ahead and pick up sequins and drop them down on top of the airplane. And I'm just filling it. And I'm varying my sequins so that I don't have the same size right next to each other repeatedly over and over and over again. I've got the larger sequins, I've got the medium sequins, I've got the smaller sequins, and I'm just going ahead and filling every single basic inch of this little airplane here. Now, the one thing about sequin mixes, and sometimes the sequins really do stick to each other, and you might have like the inner bits of the sequins, kind of like munchkins to a donut. The inner bits of the sequins can get stuck in the glue, and you either have to pick it out or be okay with it. And for the most part, I'm okay with it. Sometimes I do pick it out, but really it doesn't matter one way or the other to me. So I'm just going ahead and going to show you now how I back the cut file with the sequined airplanes. So obviously that airplane right there is finished. It has sequins all over it. I am doing the same thing I would do as if I were backing this airplane with paper, except I am putting down the sequins. And I'm just going to go ahead and look at that and see, yep, none of the sequins are like hanging off, so you can't see the sequins from the front. And this is where I'm going to add a little bit more washi tape just to help hold it while the glue is drying with the sequins. So we're going to go ahead and get that down, and then that will wrap that up. Now, of course, I do have this other airplane here, and I decided to go with 2 sequined airplanes on this cut file. I felt that 2 was a great number for the amount of airplanes that were on here. Now, as you can see, my sequins kind of hang off a little bit, so I do go ahead and grab my teeny, tiny, tiny Heidi Swap scissors and just cut off a little bit of the sequins so you can't see them as they're hanging over the airplane. And then I'm going to go ahead and lay that down, and then we're going to add a little bit more washi tape on this one as well, just to really like make sure that the airplane is gripped to the cut file, and that is going to do it. Look at that. I love, love, love the way that this turned out. I love the iridescent sequins. I love the patterned paper. Like it just turned out really great for me. It's a little bit different than I pictured in my head when I first started, but hey, guess what? Looks great. I mean, I think it looks great. Now what I'm going to do is pop this bad boy up. So I grabbed my Brutus Monroe Ultra Sticky foam tape, and I'm just going to go ahead and foam tape up the entire cut file. Not going to make you watch that either, because that would stress me out, watching somebody cut file like that. Now I'm taking my 6x6 papers, and I'm going to go ahead and double mat them both, and I'm actually double matting them with 2 different papers, and each of the 2 papers are going to be different as well, if that makes sense. So I'm not, say I was using blue and red, I'm not going to mat a photo on blue and red, go to the second photo and mat it on blue and red. What I'm doing is just kind of grabbing some coordinating ones, and whatever I have is what goes on there. So there we go. I am really, really loving this color scheme. I love kind of like this corally red and the khaki and kind of the teal going on there and a little pop of yellow. Like I just really enjoy it. It feels very fallish to me. And even though we went to the Air Museum in the spring, these Honey Gal photos feel very autumnal to me. So it just fits with the way the photos evoke feelings in me. And plus, it looks better than the original purple that I was going with. Not that anything is wrong with purple, but it just didn't go with these photos. So be sure to check out the Confessions of a Paper Addict. Can't even speak right now, people. Confessions of a Paper Addict Etsy shop. Virginia is a madwoman with the cut files. It is super amazing. Her product is fantastic. And then make sure that you join us in the Confessions of a Paper Addict Facebook group as well. Next weekend, the design team is taking over. Virginia's away, so the design team is going to play. It's going to be super awesome. We're going to have Each of us is going to be taking over the group for a couple hours, and we got some challenges and games and such like things like that. We are also giving away a ton of gift cards for the Confessions of a Paper Addict Etsy shop, and we're also giving away gift cards to scrapbook.com. So you better get yourself over there this weekend. Get yourself over there now so that you can kind of get the lay of the land and everything before this weekend. So I've got my airplanes down on the page. They are popped up. I did go ahead and take off some of the foam that was kind of interfering with where these airplanes would lay, and just kept on going from there. Now these are khaki colored tags, and I thought that it just needed a little something up here. Like this poor little photograph needed a little something. It needed a little pizzazz. Just needed to like spark some passion in its life. So I do bring in, I don't know how much passion khaki colored tags will give you when they're plain, but it's enough. It's enough to make me happy with the layout. So there we go. I'm actually going to fully commit to how this looks and go ahead and get that down. Now I am playing around with these strings a little bit more than I probably need to, but in case you hadn't figured out, I love to touch the product. I love to touch it when it's on my page. I love to touch it when it's on other people's pages. I love to touch the product before it's even, on a page. It can be in the scrapbook store, and I love touching it there. Or it can be in my own house, and I love touching it there. I'm just a toucher. Now, my husband used to be kind of ashamed of me. Not ashamed of me, but he would be kind of like, oh, Lord, there she goes again, when we would go shopping, because I would literally touch everything. It was kind of like being a 4-year-old in the store, and that's just the way it went. And look at me. Touching it, trying to look like I'm doing something important, but I'm not. I'm just touching my layout. So now I'm going to figure out what else I'm going to do to this layout, because it definitely needs something else. It doesn't have enough pizzazz, it doesn't have enough punch, and it definitely needs a little bit of a title. That would be real good. And then the decorations. So I grabbed these jelly bean soup stickers, and they're kind of like little arrow stickers with banners, but I'm just going to treat them as they are the banner stickers. So I overlap them, and I'm tucking them under up here, and I'm super happy with the way that this turned out. The colors aren't the exact same elsewhere in the layout, but they're pretty close, so I'm good enough with it. Now I decided to go ahead and grab this striped tag, also from Jelly Bean Soup, and if I'm literally in the moment of talking to you guys, I completely lost my thought of whatever was coming out of my mouth. This is the problem. This is what I tell the people at work when I'm having meetings. Like, my mouth runs, and sometimes it doesn't know when to stop, and sometimes it runs and it engages before my mind does. So, it's just the way it is. It's just the way life happens sometimes. You run your mouth and it just doesn't shut up. I'm sure my family would love it if I shut up sometimes, but like I said, things happen. So I'm going to add this little tab right here, and I figure that would be a great place to either write the name of the airplane or the location of the airplane or even the date. Not anything huge, not anything like earth-shattering, mind-blowing journaling, just the facts. Just the facts. Definitely don't need a whole lot of like earth-shattering, thoughtful, emotionally evoking journaling on these airplane pages. Basically, it's like, here, look at the pretty airplanes that are in Atwater, California right now. Some of my layouts, I definitely want you to have like this visceral reaction to and like this emotional connection to, but not this one. This one you don't have to have that kind of connection to. I just want you to look at the layout and be like, yeah, that's a cool airplane, Sandy. Thanks for showing it to me. So, not exactly sure where I went off to, but I am back now, and I went ahead and got some of these thickers. Now this is probably the first package of thickers I ever owned. This was back when I used to cut off the tab that said thickers. And then I realized that that is where you get the name of the thickers from. So I started leaving the tags on. So the plain is Honey Gal, so of course that is what I'm going to call the layout. And then I realized that the L was sticking up a little bit higher than I thought it was going to, so I went ahead and moved up Honey as well. And it's basically just giving me enough space over here so that I can get the title on and not have it be smushy or anything like that. Because, I mean, who likes a smushy title? Unless you're purposely trying to make a smushy title, then girl, you do your thing. Now I am going to add a little bit of foam around the rest of the layout, just because I really liked the look of the white popping against that red background paper. Just really thought it looked great. So I am going to add a little bit of decoration. Now these are cork stickers. They are supposed to kind of look like enamel dots along the way. Yeah, so, but they're cool. They're like these little cork sticker things. Now I am just going to add on the title on the no, Sandy, you already added the title. You're just going to be adding the location on the tab here. Now this is a flare badge, and I believe it came from Crepe Paper, and this is actually a bear, not like a wilderness kind of bear or something like that, but a bear with a hat on it. So I kind of felt like it totally went with the whole vibe of this layout, where the layout is called Honey Gal, and I was kind of thinking bears and honey, yeah, that matches, so why don't I call it Honey Gal and throw this bear badge on it because it totally works. Now I do go ahead and grab the sequins, and I'm just going to add one more in each of these clusters that I've started to make here on the layout with the foam and what are those things called? The cork sequins. So I've got kind of these white sequins that match the airplanes that are sequinified. Was that a word? Did I just make up a word, sequinified? I think I just made up the word, but we're going to go with it because I like it. So I'm using my jewel picker again to go ahead and attempt to pick up that jewel while I was making that happen. And we were looking at me going, goodness gracious, Sandy, you just need to get a grip. All right, what am I doing now? Oh, just got to write down Atwater, California, and I do believe that is everything I am doing for this layout, you guys. Why are you staring at it? Nope, that is going to be it. So, thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.